You know, the words you use every single day, they hold these secret histories. They're like tiny fossils connecting us across thousands of years to people and cultures we could never otherwise meet. Today, we are going on a linguistic detective story, and we're going to uncover one of the biggest family trees in human history, one that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
Okay, so let's just dive right in with a little puzzle. Think about the word guest. It makes you think of being welcome, right? Friendliness. Now think about hostile. It's the complete opposite, unfriendly, like an enemy.
I mean, they seem like total polar opposites, don't they? What could possibly link them together? It seems impossible. But their connection, well, it reveals something truly extraordinary about how our languages and even our societies grow and change over time.
And here it is. They both come from the exact same ancient root word that just meant stranger. Now, think about what that tells us about the past. If a stranger showed up at your home, they could be a threat, an enemy, or they could be someone looking for shelter, a guest who, the second they crossed your threshold, was owed your protection. It's wild. One single word, two totally different fates.
So this isn't just a fun little piece of trivia. This single clue, this weird connection between guest and hostile, it's like a doorway. It helps us understand a much, much bigger picture. We're about to zoom way out from just one word to a map that literally spans the globe. And I gotta be clear, this is not just random chance. This kind of deep, systematic connection is the exact kind of evidence that historical linguists are looking for. It's like finding a breadcrumb trail that leads you all the way back through time. All right, let's start with something familiar. If you're listening to this in English, you're hearing a Germanic language. That's its immediate family, its closest relatives. And this group includes some languages you'd probably expect, right? Like German and Dutch, and also the Scandinavian languages like Swedish. You can almost hear that family resemblance in really basic words for things like father, water, or hand. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. That entire Germanic family we just talked about, well, it turns out it's just one branch on a much, much larger tree. Yeah, it's part of a massive language family called Indo European. Just try to picture it. A single linguistic ancestor whose descendants stretch from India all the way across Europe to Ireland. And this just gives you a sense of the incredible scale we're talking about. You've got languages from totally different cultures, from ancient Sanskrit in India to Latin and all its children like French and Spanish. And then you have Greek and Russian and Irish. All of these languages that we think of as being so different are actually cousins. So how is that even possible? Well, they all evolved from one single common ancestor. We call this a proto-language. In our case, it's Proto Indo European. Now, this language was never written down. It's a ghost, but it's a ghost that we can actually reconstruct by carefully comparing all of its children. So how did we figure all of this out? I mean, the story of this discovery is basically a detective novel, and the master key that unlocked the whole mystery, it came from ancient India. So the idea had been kind of floating around for a while. As far back as the 1600s, some scholars were noticing these strange similarities. But the real breakthrough, the aha moment, came in 1786. A British judge in India named Sir William Jones, he connected the dots in a way no one could ever ignore again. So Jones, he's speaking to this group in Calcutta, and he points out that Sanskrit, Greek, and Latin have a connection that's, and I'm quoting here, stronger than could possibly have been produced by accident. His conclusion was just incredible for the time. They all must have sprung from some common source. And that idea, it basically launched the entire field of comparative linguistics. So why was Sanskrit the key to all this? Well, for one, it's incredibly old. We're talking texts from before 1000 BC. But more importantly, its grammar, its structure, was amazingly well preserved. You see, in Greek or Latin, sounds had kind of changed and mushed together over time. But in Sanskrit, the basic building blocks of the words were often crystal clear, which made the family resemblance to European languages just totally undeniable. Okay, so this brings us to the next big question. How do linguists actually do this? How do you go about proving these connections and rebuilding a language that nobody has spoken for thousands of years? It's not just guesswork, it's a real science. The field is called comparative linguistics, and the key idea here is that the connections have to be systematic.
Linguists are looking for consistent, predictable patterns in core grammar and basic vocabulary, the kinds of things that can't just be explained away by borrowing words or pure dumb luck.
Look, anyone can find two words that sound alike in different languages. That's easy. The real proof is finding these consistent, predictable patterns. For example, where English has an F sound in father, Latin has a P in pater, and Sanskrit has a P in pitra. See? That's not a coincidence. That's a regular sound correspondence. It's a pattern that repeats over and over again.
The evidence just becomes crystal clear when you look at grammar. Take a look at the verb to be in Sanskrit and Latin. Ignore the beginning of the words for a second and just look at the endings. Me versus am, t versus t, mas versus mus. That pattern is so consistent, it's like finding matching DNA. This is definitive proof of a shared ancestor. There's no other explanation.
So why does any of this matter today? Because this ancient family is very, very much alive. Roughly half of the entire world's population, we're talking about 3 billion people, speaks a language that descends from that one single Proto Indo European tongue. From Hindi to English, Spanish to Russian, we are all part of this incredible linguistic inheritance.
And all this leaves us with a final, really tantalizing thought. Because we know they had words for things like wheel and horse and God, we can actually start to piece together what their world was like. So if we can reconstruct their language, can we reconstruct their world? Can we understand how they lived, what they believed, what they valued, thousands of years before anyone was writing things down? The words themselves might just be the closest thing we'll ever have to a time machine.
For those of you whose curiosity is sparked, the information for this explainer comes from the foundational text, Comparative Indo European Linguistics by Robert S.P. Beekes. If you really want to dive deeper into this fascinating subject, that is an excellent place to start.